The magic sword. Once, there was a chameleon who lived near a pond in a deep forest. One day he found a sword laying beside the pond. Not knowing what the sword was, the chameleon asked a duck.
Do you know what this thing is?
This is a magic sword. It once belongs to the brave warrior and helps him defeat all his enemies,
said the duck.
So, this must be a real magic sword. It belongs to me now, and I will be a winner forever.
When other animals heard the story, they came to the chameleon and said,
Having the magic sword, you should be our king.
Later, the chameleon led the animals to fight against other animals who did not surrender to him. One day, there was an elephant who came to see the chameleon and his soldiers.
I have heard that you have a magic sword. Do you?
Asked the elephant.
Yes, I have,
answered the chameleon.
Do you know how to use the sword?
Asked the elephant further.
No, I don't know,
said the chameleon. Hearing such an answer, the elephant was very angry.
How can you be a king without knowing how to use the magic sword?
Spoke up the elephant. Therefore, the elephant stepped on the chameleon. This story teaches us that those who think ill of the others get bad result in return. The second story. The trees and the X. In a big forest, there were a lot of big and small trees growing abundantly. At the edge of the forest, there was a poor man living in an old and decayed house. The man had no wood to fix his house because his axe had no handle. So one day he went into the forest. He went towards a big tree and begged,
May I cut some trees in this forest to get some wood to fix my house?
We have to discuss about this first, then you can come to hear the result tomorrow.
The big tree replied. Thus, he received the answer.
We will give you one small tree, and don't bother us again.
So the poor man cut the small tree down and took it home. Then he shaped the tree into a handle of his axe. The next day, the poor man went into the forest with the axe to cut down some trees to fix his house. He cut down so many trees that the big trees felt very sorry.
If we do not give him the small tree, we would not have faced such a danger like this.
The big tree lamented. The story teaches us that think carefully before making any decision. The third story. The bird and the clam. A bird was flying along the beach and saw a clam on the beach near the boulder rock. He came down at once towards the clam. The bird tried very hard to open the shell in order to eat the clam's meat, but his attempt was unsuccessful. At the moment, there was a crow passed by and saw what the bird and said,
Hi, friend, I know how to deal with that clam. You must pick it up and fly up high, then drop it down on this rock. Its shell will be broken and you can easily eat the meat.
The bird believed and flew up. The crow stood waiting on the beach. Flying high enough, the bird dropped the clam. The clam shell broke apart against the rock. But before the bird came down, the crow had already eaten the clam meat. Then the crow flew away and laughed. The story teaches us that Don't believe those who pretend to do good deeds only for their own profit. The fourth story: A Fox and a Crow. One day, a wicked fox was strolling in a forest when it accidentally noticed a crow flying by with a large piece of meat in its mouth.
Hello, Crow.
Said the fox,
I think your eyes are beautiful like the eyes of a hawk.
flattered by the fox. The crow slowly hovered to the branch of a nearby tree. The fox continued speaking.
When I see you closely now, your wings look as strong as if they were the wings of an eagle.
The crow was quite pleased. The fox continued saying,
I really want to hear your voice. I can only imagine how melodious it must be.
The crow opened its mouth to sing, and the chunk of meat fell into the ground. The fox rushed in and took the meat before he disappeared in a flash. The story teaches us that flattery usually comes from those with hidden agendas. The fifth story: A Fox and a Donkey. Once upon a time, there was a fox and a donkey who were close friends. One day, the fox got lost and wandered into a lion's cave. The fox knew that the lion would eat it for sure, so it begged the lion,
Please don't eat me. If you let me go, I will bring a fat donkey to serve you as your meal.
When the lion heard the fox's proposition, it let the fox go, and later the fox brought the donkey back to the lion's cave as promised. When both the fox and the donkey arrived, the lion spoke to them both.
Foolish donkey, your friend has kept his promise well, but unfortunately for you, the promise was to seduce you here to be my meal.
When it finished speaking, the lion leapt at them, mauling both the donkey and the fox by the throat. The story teaches us that a bad friend will lead one to doom. The sixth story: A Lion and a Bengal Tiger. One day during a drought, a lion and a Bengal tiger were having a fight in front of a pond. They both needed the small amount of water that was left in the pond. The lion said,
I found this pond first, therefore the water is mine.
The Bengal tiger disagreed.
In fact, it was I who found this pond first, therefore the water is mine.
They fought until they became worn out. Suddenly, a flock of vultures began to fly in circle above the pond. It was then that the lion said to the Bengal tiger,
I think we should share the water. I don't want to fight with you until one of us dies and becomes a meal for those hungry vultures.
The story teaches us that a compromise is always the best solution. The seventh story: A Wolf and a Baby Sheep. At the foot of a big tree in a large forest, a wolf lay injured from the chase of a hunter, resting in the shade, curing its wounds. The wolf could not go out to find food. Suddenly, a baby sheep passed by. The wolf greeted the baby sheep with a sad voice.
Hello, baby sheep. I am injured and cannot walk. I'm so thirsty. Would you please go find water for me?
The baby sheep replied.
Do you need food as well?
The wolf replied with a wicked voice.
I only need water. The food I already have.
When the baby sheep heard the wolf, it laughed and replied,
I know why you don't need food. As soon as I get you water, you will make me your food.
When the sheep finished speaking, it slowly walked away until it disappeared from sight. The story teaches us that a wise man knows what an evil man is up to. The 8th story, A Man and Bamboos. One day, the son of an orchardist was strolling through the orchard as usual, when he noticed the bamboos growing around the orchard and thought,
These bamboos provide no benefit. They bear neither flowers nor fruits. Why do we have to plant them?
With this thought in mind, he ordered his workers to cut down all the bamboo. Many days later, when all the bamboo around the orchard was gone, the animals in the surrounding forest noticed the fruits in the orchard and ate most of it, leaving the orchard severely damaged. When the son of an orchardist saw what happened, he thought,
I shouldn't cut down the bamboos. It was the fence of my home.
The story teaches us that everything is useful in its own way. The 9th story, An Angry Donkey. A man was leading his donkey on a narrow and small path on a mountain. The donkey's back was loaded with trunks and the owner's personal things. With such a heavy load, the donkey felt like he could no longer take another step. A while later, the donkey became frustrated with the heavy load, so it pretended to be rebellious. The donkey jumped back and forth, but since the path was narrow, it slipped and almost fell off the mountain. Fortunately, the owner grabbed its bridle just in time. The donkey survived. After that, the owner spoke.
If you think you will get less weight on your back by pretending to be rebellious, you'd better find another way.
The donkey felt embarrassed and got even more angry that the owner knew what was on its mind. The donkey pretended to be rebellious again, and again it slipped. Unfortunately, this time the owner could not grab the bridle in time, and a donkey fell off the mountain to its death. The story teaches us that anger only brings unnecessary danger. The 10th story, Worker Ants and Larvae. One day, a group of worker ants went out looking for food as usual. They walked in line to a big tree, where they found a larva. The worker ants talked amongst themselves.
Look at that larva. It stays still all day and does nothing good to anyone.
Another worker ant agreed and said,
I feel pity for that larva. It does nothing but sleep in a dry shell.
All of the worker ants looked down on the larva and laughed at him. The larva did not respond and stayed quiet, so the worker ants kept looking for food. Many days later, the worker ants went out looking for food at the big tree again and found only dry shell of the larva. Suddenly, a beautiful butterfly flew by and said,
Hello, worker ants. I feel pity for you all. While you toil as a slave, I pleasingly sip nectar from beautiful flowers.
When the butterfly finished speaking, it flew away. The story teaches us that do not judge a book by its cover. The 11th story, A Wolf and a Sheep. One day, a pack of wolves sent their goodwill ambassador to make friends with a herd of sheep. The ambassador wolf said to the sheep,
Since the shepherd uses hound to protect and control you, you are unable to play in the fields as you used to. Furthermore, they have created a misunderstanding between you and the wolves. They maligned us by saying that we always want to hurt the sheep, which is not true at all.
When the sheep heard that, they agreed. The ambassador wolf continued.
If you help us drive off the hound, you will get your freedom back. And for our new relationship, we, the wolves, will guarantee your safety.
The sheep believed the ambassador wolf and began to drive the hound away. When the hound was gone, the wolves began to eat the sheep one by one until there were no sheep left at all. The story teaches us that falling for deceitful words could lead to doom. The 12th story, A Tailless Fox. One day, a fox fell into a hunter's trap and got its tail stuck. During the struggle to get free, the fox lost its tail in the trap. The fox was worried about its stub and thought to itself,
I will make my friends think that living without a tail is the best thing ever.
The tailless fox started talking with its friends about how fantastic it was to live without a tail. The fox claimed,
Since I have no tail, I'm unique, and I run much faster without the tail weighing me down.
All of the fox's friends believed its deceitful words, until an old fox who nearby spoke up.
All beautiful tails are valuable, and we should be proud of them. I don't see what is so good about being a tailless fox. Don't try to fool us.
The story teaches us that a wise man will not fall for deceitful words,